So we're in Boston, in Capital Innovation, Boston Venture and Angel Forums, with Greg Zaic, the general partner at Nexus Medical Technology Capital, based in New York.
Well, actually based in Boston.
Oh, based in Boston? Really? But you're from New York?
Yes, I'm from New York originally, but our
Yes.
office is here in Boston, and we also have an office in Greenville, South Carolina.
Okay, great. And so we had the pleasure with, we were discussing earlier about a bit of the investment community and the cross-border investments between Canada and the United States. Have you ever had a chance to do co-investment with a Canadian company?
We have looked at several potential opportunities. In fact, we went very far with a Canadian company, which unfortunately at the last minute the deal didn't go through. But I think that I have spent a lot of time looking at the investment environment in Quebec.
Right.
And I think that you have an excellent setup that really should be very attractive for companies. The government policies, frankly, that you have are very friendly to small businesses. Now,
right, there's a lot of non-dilutive capital available as well.
Exactly. We do business. I mentioned we had an office in South Carolina, right. So we do some business down there. We've done some investment down there. Compared to what you have in Quebec, they have literally nothing to help attract young companies like ours. All of their programs begin basically with large companies with more than 100 employees.
Right.
So I think Quebec is really heading in the right direction for the kinds of programs that you offer for young companies. They're very, very helpful. And we are certainly looking to see if we can find additional opportunities, either to co-invest with, with existing Quebec firms, or lead investments up there. We're looking for both.
Right, and do you think in some of the companies, maybe based out of Boston, that you would invest in, do you think it would be a possibility that some of the research and development move to Quebec to take advantage of all those incentives?
Yes, but frankly, what our thought was, we do a lot of investing in Europe.
Right.
We have companies in Germany and England, and we have been bringing several of them over to the U.S. Right. Now, previously, we had an incentive to do that in South Carolina. Mm-hmm. But it has always occurred to us that Quebec is really the place to bring these companies. At the moment, we don't have a capital fund to do that. We would love to have the incentive to funnel these companies from Europe directly to Quebec. Perhaps that will happen sometime in the future.
Great. And do you think that this type of event will help foster those kind of co-investment opportunities between Quebec and New England?
Oh, I'm sure it will. It gives us, it gives me an opportunity to talk one-on-one
right.
with folks in Quebec, and I think this has been an excellent event.
And maybe you can talk to us a bit more about your fund in particular. What type of companies are you looking for to invest in?
Right now, we're managing 3 different funds. But they have a common theme, which is we primarily are looking at medical devices,
right.
And then as well some pharmaceutical companies. But our focus is primarily on medical devices. Mm-hmm. And I might say the other thing that attracts us to Quebec is that you have a very large biotech pharmaceutical infrastructure.
Right.
You also have a lot of medical device companies, but your venture-backed medical device companies are this big. Very, very small, much smaller than your biotech pharmaceutical area. Mm-hmm. So we see a distinct advantage for a firm like ours to move into Quebec
right.
with capital to invest primarily in medical device companies. We see this as a very underserved area.
And that's great. And could you maybe tell us about one of your success stories and one of those flagship deals that you invested in?
All right, no problem. I invested in a
I'm sure there's many.
I know. I'll just have to think.
Which one? Right? Pick one.
So a few years ago, we had an opportunity to invest in a company that had just developed a new formula for insulin, a new formulation of insulin, and its chief advantage is that it made it a little bit easier on diabetics. Diabetics suffer occasionally from what's called hypoglycemia, a lack of blood sugar. Mm-hmm. And this is they don't like it, and it's bad on their system. This particular formulation of insulin minimized the number of times that they would have these hypoglycemic episodes. So after we checked out the science, we made an investment. Soon after we made an investment, the company went public. And of course, we can't sell our stock on the IPO. We waited for the lockup period to be expired. I decided we should sell the stock literally the day after the lockup period expired. We got 4.5 times our money for an internal rate of return, somewhat over 200%.
Wow.
And this was within 11 months of our investment. Unfortunately, about 6 months later, the company had a problem with its clinical trials, and the stock price is now well below what we paid for it. So I think we made the right decision to sell.
That's great. So you had great foresight.
Well, thank you. But I also believe in the company's technology. I think it's had a problem with the clinical trials, but I think despite the low stock price, I think the product is still a good one. I think eventually it'll hit the market and benefit diabetes patients.
And maybe to end this, one last word of wisdom.
Only one?
One? Okay, I'll give you two. One for investor and one for entrepreneurs. How about that?
Well, if you're an investor, I would say think strongly about investing in medical device companies in Quebec. And the word for maybe some advice for entrepreneurs, I find that sometimes they need to be able to explain their company easier, to make investors understand a little bit better exactly what it is they're doing in a relatively brief period of time. I think that would be helpful.
Have you ever started a company, by the way? I'm just wondering.
I haven't started a company. I have run a few companies that were started, and then for one reason or another...
And they brought you on board to run them?
Temporarily, yes. Okay. I chaired a gene therapy company and a DNA sequencing company and a biomaterials company.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of operating experience in...
Well, I had that before I was an investor. I worked for Baxter Laboratories.
Okay.
Yeah,
great.
so I know how to run things. My job now, though, is not to run things. My job is to help the entrepreneurs be better managers and
act as a mentor and as a coach.
Exactly. I'm the coach. I'm not the player. Even if I could run as fast as they do, they're the management. They've got to do it. And it's my job to offer helpful criticism and constructive criticism, not to tell them that everything they're doing is wrong, but to help them, supplement them, and make sure that they have the resources that they need, both capital resources and human resources, to get their job done. Because they've got a tough job to do, and they all know that the odds are against them. And it's my job to help them succeed.
It's probably why they succeed so often, right?
I hope so.
Great. Well, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.